Rarity Collection 2 is releasing in less than a week, but how good is it? What's potion? You got Matt here and welcome to another competitive Yu-Gi-Oh video. Rarity Collection 2's full set list was just revealed and it divided the community quite significantly, where some people think the set is fine and gets the job done, while others think the set is absolutely garbage. So today we're going to take a look at Rarity Collection 2 to actually find out how good it really is. I'll be going over Rarity Collection 2 and all the cards in the set, including the best cards that are out there so you know what to look for if you're opening it up, and if you should even buy it sealed. But I'll also give you my opinions on the set and why I think that. But first, if you're excited for the video and for Rarity Collection 2, then make sure to smash the like button. Also, if you like competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, including deck profiles, guides on how to beat the best decks, meta discussions, and videos just like this one, you're gonna love this channel, so make sure to subscribe. But with that being said, it's time for us to find out just how good is Rarity Collection 2. Let's jump into it. So Rarity Collection 2 has 79 cards in the set, each of which comes in the 7 available rarities in the product. Those rarities are Super, Ultra, Secret, Platinum Secret, Ultimate Rare, Collector Rare, and Quarter Century Secret Rare. Now there are no new cards in Rarity Collection 2, they're all reprints of previously available cards. It's also the successor to Rarity Collection 1, which is widely regarded as the greatest Yu-Gi-Oh set of all time, which means expectations are pretty high. And then the reveals came out, and it's safe to say that most people were pretty disappointed with this set. So that being said, we're going to take a look at the entirety of Rarity Collection 2 and some of the pros and cons and give you an idea of if you should buy this set or not. Oh, and by the way, I'm not paid by Konami to say these things, these are just my opinions. If you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments. But with that being said, let's talk about the cards included in this set, which I'll be covering in different categories. Those categories are branded, Blue Eyes, Purrely, hand traps, historic cards, staples, generic extra deck cards, and miscellaneous. Starting off with the branded cards, we have reprints to Aluber the Jester of Despia, Fusion Deployment, Polymerization, Rinbrum the Striking Dragon, Masquerade the Blazing Dragon, Guardian Chimera, and Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Now obviously these cards aren't exclusive to branded, but that's the deck that's really using these cards the most right now. And while a reprint to Guardian Chimera and Dragoon are positives for the set, everything else just kind of seems irrelevant. Each of the other cards have had multiple other printings with the exception of Rinbrum, which isn't even in every branded deck. It should have definitely been Granganol in its place, but I'm fine with Rinbrum for the time being. Regardless, the only cards in this section that actually really bother me are Aluber and Fusion Deployment. We already have a few Aluber printings which were between $2 and $4 a copy before the announcement, and no one has ever said we need more Fusion Deployment. And yes, I like more poly reprints. I like when pack filler in general has some nostalgia to it, and I'd rather it be poly than Win the Wind Channeler from Rarity 1. But overall, if they wanted to print more branded cards, they should have gone a different direction. Printing cards like Branded Fusion, Quem, or even Albion the Sanctifier Dragon would have been great choices. Now all three of these aren't realistic, but just having one of them to replace Aluber would have gone a long way. Next up are the Blue Eyes cards, including Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, and Bingo Machine Go. While there are only 4 Blue Eyes cards, it still is a lot, like 5% of the set is Blue Eyes related. But look, Yu-Gi-Oh has very few cards or decks that are as important historically as Blue Eyes. I was 100% sure that Blue Eyes would be represented in this set in one way or another, but honestly with 2 cards at the most. If they stopped at Bingo Machine Go and Alternative White Dragon, that would have been perfect. Both cards were around $10 to $15 each at the low end, so in my opinion those are great reprints, especially for the casual player. But Jet Dragon just got reprinted in last year's tins, and Spirit Dragon was much lower in price. This just continues the problem from the branded category, which is just why? What's the reasoning behind reprinting these cards? Moving on to the Purrely cards, starting off with Purrely, Purrely Pretty Memory, and My Friend Purrely. Even though these were some of the earliest cards revealed, this is one of my biggest problems with this set. These Purrely cards have one printing and are so hyper-specific to one archetype. Yes, there are a lot of branded cards, but they also double as generic fusion support. And yes, Blue Eyes is here too, but that has more standing in Yu-Gi-Oh history. Purrely has none of that. Don't get me wrong, I like that Purrely got reprinted, but this isn't the set for it. And while I'm on the topic, the same goes for the 2 Exosister cards. On the other hand, I love the reprints to the 2 Unchained cards, and it may seem like I'm playing favorites or not making any sense, but Unchained as a strategy is very different from Purrely and Exo. Both Purrely and Exosister are 2 extremely xenophobic archetypes. It's very hard to build a deck with a Purrely or Exosister engine and something else. they're just too specific to their own archetype. Meanwhile, the Unchained engine is seeing play in its own deck, as well as in other strategies including Yubel and Labyrinth. The Unchained reprints just mean something to more decks, which is why I like them more than Purrely and Exo Sister. If we took out the 5 Purrely and Exo Sister cards and replaced them with something else, then the set would be so much better. This is the first big miss of the set in my opinion. As for the hand traps, we have a few of them, starting off with Chaos Hunter, DD Crow, both arts of Droll and Lockbird, Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, Skullmeister, and Saravis the Ancient and Ascended. In Rarity 1, hand traps were a massive selling point for the product, and now that the best ones were already reprinted, it's obvious that category wouldn't be as strong in Rarity 2 as it was in Rarity 1. Instead of Ash Blossom, we have Chaos Hunter, and instead of Imperm, we have Skullmeister. Now those two are the worst two hand traps of the bunch, but I still think they make sense to be in the set. Ensuring that there's going to be easily accessible printings of all these hand traps is a big win, but Droll and Lockbird is easily the biggest winner. Not only was it a highly sought after card that was seeing meta play and not included in Rarity Collection 1, but it also got its original and alt art printings. Now I'm nitpicking here, but I wish that Phantasme, Mourner, and Ghost Ogre also had both artworks in this set. That being said, there are 3 hand traps that I would have loved to see in this set, but I'm not too broken up about it. Psyframe Gear Gamma, Delta, and Epsilon. But I'm not going to complain about any of the cards included in this category. I have a really hard time thinking of a realistic alternative to these cards that would improve the set. And even if you're going to criticize Rarity Collection 2, you have to acknowledge what it does right, and they definitely nailed this part. As for some historic cards, starting off with both artworks of Rescue Cat, as well as Rescue Rabbit, Raikou Lightsworn Hunter, Super Nimble Mega Hamster, Charge of the Light Brigade, Phantom Knights of Break Sword, and Traptrix Rafflesia. Now, most of these cards are here for Time Wizard formats, and that's not to say they won't do anything in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, but they're mostly at home in older formats. And obviously, I could have included other cards in this section, but I'll talk about them a bit later. Goat, Edison, and Hat format are all incredibly popular, and some of these cards were at their prime in those formats. I love that they reprinted cards for old school formats, but they missed the mark for me. Why? Because there were so many other cards that were much more in need of a reprint. Mega Hamster is great, but we didn't need another Raikou or Rescue Rabbit or even Break Sword. These old school formats need cards like Thunder King Ryo, Light and Darkness Dragon, Magical Android, even Trident Dragion, which would have been great for Edison and modern formats. Even banned cards like Trap Dust Shoot and Royal Oppression, which were never making it into this set in the first place, are much more needed than a card like Raikou. Again, I like that they included Time Wizard format cards, but they went about it the wrong way, and they end up just being pack filler. Moving on to generic staples, and bear with me because there are a lot of them. Starting off with Book of Moon, Book of Eclipse, Mystical Space Typhoon, Twin Twisters, Cosmic Cyclone, Emergency Teleport, Enemy Controller, Foolish Burial, Gold Sarcophagus, Forbidden Lance, Mind Control, Preparation of Rites, Pot of Duality, Xyz Encore, Ultimate Slayer, Crossout Designator, Anti-Spell Fragrance, Skill Drain, Solemn Judgment, Solemn Strike, and Solemn Warning. Okay, that's a lot of cards, and I like a lot of them, but you can't hold them to the same standards as Rarity 1, which had Droplet, Prosperity, Talents, Evenly, and so much more. There just aren't enough cards that are on the same level as those ones. Well, there are, but for the most part, they were only released in Agov or later. If you are expecting Wanted, or SP, or even Bonfire to be reprinted in this set, I can't say anything to you, they're just way too new. On the other hand, the cards that are good enough to be included that weren't are baffling. Thrust, Fenrir, even Kurikara were all no-brainer inclusions. Everyone needs a playset of these cards to compete at the highest levels, and if they had included one or even two of them, then the perception of this set would drastically change. But on a positive note, we have Crossout Designator and Ultimate Slayer, which were two of the most highly anticipated cards to be in the set. I also want to say that I think the books were great inclusions. Book of Moon is one of the most flexible cards in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, and I like that it's getting a reprint in Rarity. But MST? Really? It hasn't been a playable card in years. I love that Cosmic Cyclone and Twin Twisters are getting reprints because they both come in and out of the format, but they didn't need to give us MST again. It feels like they think they had to include MST because Cosmic and Twin Twisters were both in the set as well. It's like when you're gonna go hang out with your friends, but your mom says you have to take your little sibling along with you. And this is just personal preference, but I love that Foolish Burial and the Solemn Brigade are being reprinted as well. These cards do come up from time to time, and it'll be great to have easily accessible, nice rarities of them. The generic extra deck cards being included in this set are Garura, Wings of Resonant Life, Axis Code Talker, Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, IP Masquerena, Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, Hieratic Seals of the Heavenly Spheres, Boral and the Dragon, Abyss Dweller, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy, Dugaris the Timeless, Coral Dragon, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, Psyframe Lord Omega, Psychic End Punisher, TG Hyper Librarian, and Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier. It's not perfect, but there's a lot of really amazing cards in this category, a few questionable choices, and honestly, very few missed cards in my opinion. First off, the Link Monsters. In total, there are 7 Link Monsters, and I'm happy with all of them. The only one that's out of place in my mind is Boral and Dragon, the rest are awesome inclusions. I know that some of you are going to complain that SP isn't here, but again, it's too new. I wish they would include it, but I think the majority of people were very confident that SP was the only card that would never be included in this set. We talked about most of the fusion monsters already, but Garura is the perfect inclusion. The only fusions I thought were must-haves in the set were Garura, Dragoon, and Chimera, and all 3 are here, so I'm pretty happy about that. The synchros are weird though, I just don't get any of them. Like, Crystal Wing was going up in price, sure, and Omega is seeing play right now, but I don't understand the rest. Did we really need Hyper Librarian? We just got Psychic End Punisher in the tins and it's incredibly budget. They left so many great choices off the list like Ib the World Chalice Justiciar, Trident Dragion, and even Dispatter. Oh, and for the record, Chaos Angel would never be in here because the OTS ulti is still available in the most recent OTS pack, but it would have been cool to see. And the Xyz monsters in total are also lackluster. I love that Abyss Dweller and even number 38 are in the set, and I guess number 60 is cool too, but we didn't need any of the other 4. As for the other miscellaneous cards, I haven't mentioned yet. I love the Magician's Souls reprint because it was much needed, but I didn't like that Illusion of Chaos was also included. Silent Magician and Silent Swordsman are here to promote the new Shining Sarcophagus archetype and are collectible cards as well, but honestly, they're just meh. The 4 planet field spells are really cool, but they didn't give us any search targets for them in the entire sense, which makes no sense. And who the f needed Sol and Luna? So now that we know more about this set and you have my opinions on some of the cards, what are some criticisms I have? Well, firstly, I think the main one is that there are so many irrelevant reprints. There are too many cards that just make no sense. There's a focus on meta staples like Lance and Xyz Encore, which haven't been relevant in over a year, and the old school reprints, while appreciated by those that play the format, just aren't impactful enough. Second, there's way too much of a focus on branded and Blue Eyes cards. I can argue that 11 cards fall into those 2 archetypes, which is almost 15% of the entire set. It's just too many archetype-specific cards. Third, it's missing those really impactful meta cards. No Fenrir, Thrust, Kurikara, Trident Dragion, or even Diviner of the Herald. If any 2 of these cards were included in the set, the perception around it would drastically change. Fourth, why were cards with Starlights, Collector Rares, and even OTS Ultimate Rares reprinted, but not cards with QCRs? Now, this is not one of my personal criticisms, but it's one that I've seen a lot and I wanted to address it. The simple answer is that it makes no sense for Konami to reprint a card that already has a QCR. They're meant to be special and rare to celebrate the 25th anniversary, and if they reprint them within 1 year at the exact same special rarity, then it's not special anymore. I never expected a card with an existing QCR to be reprinted in Rarity Collection 2. If they did, it's just a bad business model on their end. Number 5, Konami hyped this setup way too much and now it's falling on its face. Just think of the best cards in the set and when they were announced. The best cards that were released in the official openings are like Garura, Chimera, Crossout, and Ultimate Slayer. We knew the majority of the best cards in the set months ago. Because they hyped it up so much, we expected it to stay on that level and it didn't, which leads to disappointments. And finally, number 6, the price. Rarity 2 is a significantly more expensive set than Rarity 1 with fewer amazing cards. It's the combination of the price and the lack of really top tier reprints that some people have said it doesn't deserve the name of Rarity Collection. But to wrap it up on a positive note, here are some pros. It's still very likely going to be the best reprint set of the year and one of the best reprint sets of all time. Maybe the Megatins can compete with it, but depending on the cost and how easy it is to pull cards, that's going to be debatable. I also feel like the low end of the set is actually higher than the low end for Rarity 1. Now that's just my opinion, but there are so many more cards in Rarity 1 I wish I never got than what I'm hoping to pull for Rarity 2. For example, I don't want another QCR Ice Barrier, Code Talker Inverted, or Magical Ice Fusion, and more. There were just more duds in Rarity 1 than in Rarity 2, even though Rarity 1 had a significantly higher ceiling. So with all that said, what do I actually think about the set? Well, honestly, it's just fine. When I first saw the set list revealed, I was like, this is an awesome set, it's great, there's so many amazing cards in here, but then I kind of did more of a deep dive, looked a bit more into it, and you know, it's not the best, but it's also not the worst. There's a lot of great reprints, but also a lot of cards that were missed out on. And honestly, one of the biggest issues is that we keep comparing it to Rarity Collection 1, which is arguably the greatest individual set of all time. Now, it's not on that same level, but it's still a solid set nonetheless. If you look at the set and compare it to Rarity Collection 1, you're going to be disappointed, but looking at just the cards in Rarity Collection 2, I'd have to give it about a 7 on 10. But when we consider the price of the actual product, because it's so much more expensive, I'd have to give it like between a 5 or a 6 on 10 at the most. And there you have it. You now have everything you need to know about Rarity Collection 2. But let me know down in the comments, first of all, what are your thoughts on Rarity Collection 2 and how it compares to Rarity Collection 1? But also, are you planning on buying the set sealed, or are you just looking for singles for the different cards? Personally, there are a lot of cards I'm looking to pick up. I even have my full set list with the different cards and rarities that I want to get, but honestly, I'm not going to be opening up too much sealed product. Anyways, if you made it this far in the video, you must have enjoyed it, so make sure to smash the like button, and of course, subscribe to the channel for more amazing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Check out my sponsor, Imperium Duelist, and use code OSHEA10, OSHEA10 for 10% off your order, and of course, use my TCG player affiliate link if you plan to buy any Rarity Collection 2 cards. Check me out on Twitter and join the Discord server, both of which are linked in the description. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you all next time.